Hey guys, welcome to week 6 of class. The war is over, and the world, and particularly the United States, is going to have to spend some time trying to figure out what to make of this particular conflict. And the decade of the 1920s is a decade that is highly interesting, because here you will find that there is a tension that's going to exist between traditional, more Victorian values, values held in large part by the middle class white Americans, as well against those of a more modernistic society, one that will be epitomized by such groups as the Flappers, where you're going to see greater expression of sexuality, greater expressions of freedom. Okay, and so the 1920s is definitely a moment not only where you see the rise of prohibition and the rise of organized crime, but also a moment when these two ideas about what type of society America should be, it's going to come to a head. Okay, and so we're going to be looking at that. And indeed, the 1920s was a period that was not just roaring, but it was a time of strong nativistic feeling. And nativism is basically a strong pride in one's country, but it is riddled in this sort of racist mentality, a racialized mindset which sees the other, such as immigrants and other marginalized groups, as being bad. And indeed, the lecture this week will focus specifically on the ways in which nativism manifested itself in the United States at this time. And then there's also some videos you're going to have to watch that will talk about the Roaring Twenties. And in particular, I think that if you're interested in women's history, the 1920s is one of those interesting moments, because here you do see many young women sort of breaking out of the confines of a Victorian traditionalism, a domesticated traditionalism that confined them to the home and to cleaning and to being sexually pure and socially, homogenous with their own group. And here they're going to begin to see women being more social with the opposite sex. They're going to see themselves experimenting more with sex, with their sexuality. And this is epitomized in many ways with the way that they dressed, the flapper and her fashion of the time. So a very interesting period of history nonetheless. So that's what we're going to be looking at this week. One thing I do want to stress to you is that you do have a midterm exam coming up next week. This test will be an 80 multiple choice exam. There is no time limit on the test. However, once you start the test, you must complete it. That means you cannot save your work and then come back later. All right, so make sure that when you start the test, you have given yourself enough time to be able to complete the exam. And I'll mention this again next week, but I do not accept late work for technological reasons. Okay, and that means if you start the test, on Sunday at 10:30, I'll probably be asleep by that point anyways, because I'm old. Anyways, if you start the test at 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday, and your computer shuts down and it submits your test, because that's what it will do, then you're going to receive whatever score you happen to have had once it submitted it for you. So please make sure that you give yourself enough time to complete the test, so that if you do run into a technological issue, we can address that. Okay, but I'll talk a little bit more about that next week in the video. So, but just be aware that that is coming up, and so just get ready for that. I think that's all I have for you this week. So with that, go in peace, be warm and filled. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper, and may the odds forever be in your favor. Be blessed, guys.